So one of the things you ought to know about a stand-up is that when you do a stand-up on a street, people are likely to do exactly this. They're going to somehow want to get into the picture. Why? They don't know why. It's something in the DNA. We're compelled to do so. So the best thing to do is just humor them, let them do it. Sometimes you can even work it into the stand-up, but eventually you're going to say, okay, we're done, and now we've got to get back to work. This is a fairly straightforward stand-up. I'm just standing in front of the camera, and I'm going to give you one piece of information that's going to help you understand the story. One reason we do it is, one, we don't have to worry about B-roll. Two, it's very quick. And three, people remember information better when someone's on camera saying it, or if there's a piece of video that's reinforcing that information. So, I'm on camera saying it. Got it? Hey, take a look at my feet. When you do a stand-up, you do not stand like this. Why? Because it makes you very two-dimensional. Let's go back up to the two-dimensional Ken. I'm very stiff, look comfortable. It's not a good look. But if you move your feet back, let's go back to the feet. Okay? Just a little bit one in front of the other. Why is this effective? Well, because for one thing, once you come back up to the person, because you're really not going to look at the feet, once you come back to the person, take a look, I'm a little bit turned. That's a little bit less two-dimensional. Also, it makes it easier for me to lean forward and make a point when I want to. Okay, this is a little piece of theater called the PM strut. I'll also walk to nowhere, but there's a reason to do it, because at the very end of the stand-up, that is when you give the most important information. Now, one of the things you don't want to do, walk to nowhere, where you really walk to nowhere, there's no reason why you're going there, and you're not even quite sure why you're doing it, it just seemed like a good idea at the time. As opposed to the walk to somewhere, and that's where there is a reason you're going somewhere, and what you tend to do is you will it at the very end, such as, where are we? We're in the studios of Rum Jungle. There's also the walk into frame, and that can be just as effective, because at the last moment you reveal who the reporter is. I'm at Rum Jungle Media. And don't forget the importance of nat sound. Nat sound is like punctuation in your narration. It helps emphasize what you want to say. That's a comma. Early in my career, I shied away from these kind of stand-ups because it was too much reporter involvement. But I did learn that sometimes the story does justify or even require a slightly different approach. You've done the story, you're back at work, and suddenly you realize you really need a stand-up. What do? Well, you can just simply add some props. Do something unexpected, especially when you're doing something like a government story. You don't have a lot of video in government stories, boring committee meetings, that kind of thing. Well, why not use a prop, such as the diploma, when you're doing a story about government education? We all know the expression that a reporter has to wear a lot of hats, but it's what you do with the hats. This trick allows you to literally go from one part of the story to the other. Another strategy when you're back at the shop and you realize, I really need to stand up for this story, is to use your computer. You can use your computer screen for cut. You can use your computer keyboard for nat sound. And you can use your computer to finish your story. One of the things about a stand-up is that the reporter doesn't always have to be the biggest thing in the, because sometimes you want to make the point that business isn't very good. There's also something called show and tell. Show the people what you're talking about. Here's one other important lesson. A stand-up is not a one-person show. It's the photographer who makes it happen. All right.